Yeah, Doe One, Rocky Mountain. Rocky Mountain Sports Report, yeah, live and direct. Keep them shook, defend like Champ Bailey and Adam Foot, no joking. I'll block it out like Jokic, and now you see him blurry. Lost in the rain of threes from Jamal Murray. Oh, step up to the plate. Colorado landscape outstanding, reporting all the facts in. We out the park like black men, or better yet, Chuck Nasty. Cause RMS all his family built tough, yeah. Like Ed McCaffrey, and we only got one rule. In my orange and blue, a mile high salute. So while the rest is lacking, I'm on my goals like Sackett. Time to slaughter, be hitting hard like Atwater Gold Glove. 300 club like the Todd Father.
Hey everybody, this is David with Rocky Mountain Sports Report here to let you know that Avicor Mobile Power Wash is an industry leader in commercial cleaning services. They specialize in washing commercial vehicles, including but not limited to tractors, trailers, bobcats, front loaders, rear loaders, pickups, and much more. Have an oil stain? Give Avicor a call. Oil spills? Call Avicor. Parking lot, sidewalks, and commercial containers. You know who to call. Avicor. If you need it clean and want the best prices in town, then give Avicor Mobile Power Wash a call at 303-585-1129. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Rocky Mountain Sports Report War Room Wednesday. I'm David, and you are?
Matt. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? Just in case anybody didn't notice, Matt there with the flowing hair.
So. Letting the locks go today. You know, I'm locking it for lock.
Locking it for lock. I like that. So, all right. Everybody out there, shoot us your comments, whatever, we're going to, tonight at the end of the show, we're going to do something new. We're going to have an open topic segment. So if you guys got something that you want Matt and I to discuss, Colorado sports related, of course, throw it out there, and we'll discuss it. And then we're also going to preview some other content that we're going to be bringing to you in the future. So, all right, Matt, let's get started. I'm not sure if everybody saw, I wrote a article today called It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And it's, wanted to know if it's Miller time. So the question is it Miller time, Matt? Are we going to see Vaughn in these last? We're not going to see him this week. Fangio's already said that, but against the Chargers or against the Raiders, what are your thoughts?
I think there's a small chance we will. I think it's the wrong choice. I think Vaughn should just sit out the rest of the year and just focus on his health. I mean, he's north of 30. Football is a physical sport. You're, at that point in your career, your body's already probably hurting when you wake up every day. I mean, I don't get the point of why he's going to play unless it's for an audition. That's really it. Unless he wants to get on the field because maybe he's doubting his future here. That's the only thing I could think of to why we would honestly see him. If he's in our plans, I think I would be encouraging him to sit.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. If he were in our future plans, this wouldn't be a conversation at all. And I think Vaughn may sort of know that, and I think that's why Vaughn may want to get on the field because he wants to prove to 31 other teams that he still has what it takes to be, successful in the NFL, and that he is fully recovered from that injury. I think it's a huge risk. One bad push on that ankle and he can set himself back quite a bit. So, but Vaughn knows his body. Vaughn's a professional, I think. And I think what brings this up because Vaughn recently has been seen around the practice field. He's been seen running. He's been, there's some video of him the other day, just, hopping around the field there and stretching and stuff. So I think he is. So, let's look at these comments. Good evening, guys. We appreciate you. Hey, we appreciate you guys for joining in and watching us. I'm not sure who you are. If you are watching in a group on Facebook, you have to allow StreamYard permission to use your Facebook name. In other words, just put your name at the end of your comment. We'd appreciate it. So I love it. Well done. We appreciate it. I mean, we do this because we like informing you guys and giving you information about the Broncos and other Colorado related sports things. So, so you touched on Vaughn a little bit and how he's probably done here in Denver and not in their future plans.
I mean, there could be a possibility that this is more. It could be Denver is asking him to get out on the field. Like you are 30, north of 30. Let's see what you got. We're scheduled to pay you $22 million next year. I mean, it could be like prove to me you're worth that $22 million. Maybe that's what they're telling Vaughn to do. Maybe they need to see that he still has the burst. And if not, maybe that's when the restructure comes up. I mean, based off of his actions and kind of comments when he was asked about it earlier this season, we touched on this a few times already. It doesn't seem like he wants to do that. But I mean, you never know. He does have a lot of community ties here. He has his Von Vision stuff through here. He's been active in the community here. Maybe he doesn't want to go. Maybe he does want to be that Bronco for life.
Well, and yeah, he's made that comment that he wants to be a Bronco for life, and we've discussed that here on the show before, and it's not unknown what we think about it. I think the majority of us have an opinion that Vaughn is, unless Vaughn takes a significant pay cut, Vaughn has probably played his last snap in Denver. So, but that's something we can talk about more in the off season. So, Rob here says, I think it'd be a little harder to sit out a whole year and then come back knowing you can play. So, and I agree. I think there's a little more apprehension if you don't get some game reps in, and then you're going into next year and sort of nervous about how the ankle is going to respond. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Vaughn's at this point he's a seasoned vet. He knows what's expected of him. He knows what he knows what his body feels like every day. If he feels that he's 100%, we can give him the benefit of the doubt saying he's 100% to have him out there. But when you're north of 30, man, any injury could be your last. I would say get the rehab in. Make sure that that tendon is nice and set. You're gonna, like you just mentioned it. It's gonna his position is a lot of planting, a lot of cuts, a lot of force from your legs, from your lower trunk. From your lower half of your body. It's where all your bull rush comes from. He's gonna be putting all of that force on that ankle. I would, like I said, I would just give it the full year. I don't see the benefit of coming out early right now. If we were in a playoff push, maybe, but we're not.
And I don't either. And like I addressed in my article, I think the only reason that Vaughn wants to come back is because maybe he knows either one, he wants to prove to the Broncos that he's fully healed and he can play, or two, he's auditioning for 31 other teams, which I don't think Vaughn has to audition for anybody. This is a good question here. Does Vaughn have any trade value? And I think he does. And it's just really what teams are willing to play with or give up for Vaughn, knowing that one, he's going to cost you a lot of money, and two, he's coming off an injury, and three, he's going to be 32 years old. So, but what would you think the Broncos, if they went out and shopped Vaughn, would ask, or what they would probably get in return?
I would say the highest compensation I could think of would be probably a third-round pick. Granted, he's still an all-star, he's an all-pro, but given the injury history, the age, the lack of production last season, it's just not trending well for the Broncos in terms of for trade value. There's just not really a huge gain there. It also does mess with the cap numbers a little bit. I don't have the figures off the top of my head, but it ends up costing the Broncos a little bit more. So the Broncos have to ask themselves, is that the potential third-round pick worth not getting as much in return as in terms of cap space? So if Vaughn is not on this team next year, I think it's more of we've cut him because we have a slightly bigger gain.
Right. Yeah. And it is a huge savings. I think it's $17.5 million if we let him go. So we'll see. It's like I said in my article, it'll be a sad day if we see Vaughn put on another uniform. But unfortunately in sports, sometimes these things happen. And, this just may be, especially with the salary cap situations Denver's in here, Vaughn may just be a casualty of finances. So, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, and it really comes down to several things. What do the Broncos value more? Do they value that 17 or that 22 million that we have Vaughn at, or does that money go funneled into someone like Justin Simmons on the defense? There's that question. The other potential possibility that kind of, if we are talking trades, there are several teams that are in need of an edge rusher that have a veteran quarterback. I know we don't want to go down that path. You and I have talked about it. There's not very much of a gain from it, but like a Matthew Stafford for a Von Hiller, that the contract is pretty similar. If Stafford's traded, his cap hit drops to like 20 million. It would be about the same, but I don't think that's worth Vaughn. I wouldn't trade for Matthew Stafford for Vaughn, but numbers wise, it makes sense.
Right.
But but a lot of that plays on the next two games. If Vaughn gets on the field, does it hurt? Does it improve his trade value, or does it hurt it? And over the next two games, how does Drew Lock play? Because that could improve, or that plays a factor into a situation like that as well.
Right. So, and we're going to switch on to another topic now. We'll talk more about Vaughn extensively after the season's over. So let's talk about this here. Player of the week. And I know there's a lot of grumblings in Bronco country because Lamar Jackson ended up winning player of the week. And here's sort of the stat lines here. Lamar was 11-17, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 rushes, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Ravens won 47-42. Locke had the best game of his career. You can't even argue that, 149.5 QB rating, 4 touchdowns, and the Broncos won. So what do you think? I mean, and it's not a big deal, but I know people in Bronco country, and I've seen things flying around on the internet, how the Broncos are just totally disrespected. And do you think Lamar Jackson got it because Lamar Jackson is the reigning MVP, or because Lamar Jackson comes limping onto the field with 2 minutes left and brings the Ravens back to this comeback win?
I think that could play a part in it. It's the Cinderella story. Everybody wants to be a part of it. It's got Disney written all over it.
Right.
But I think the reason why we see Lamar Jackson and other players like that get highlighted over like Drew's performances. look at the game. Both of those teams are playoff contenders.
Mm-hmm.
We were, us was the battle of the battered and the 4-8s. That's just what it was.
Yeah,
so,
it definitely was. So
let's say this was the Ravens and the Broncos and we won this way, Drew Lock probably would have gotten the highlight. Or even if it was the Browns, Drew Lock probably would have gotten a higher praise because it's a significantly better team. But Drew Lock played phenomenal last week. He did deserve. He did get some credit though, so he did win FedEx. Air Player of the Year or whatever. NFL
Air Player of the Week. Yeah, so whatever.
Whatever the proper. So there's those little individual awards just to brush his ego up a little bit.
Right.
He got it because it was the bigger game and it mattered more.
And I agree. And this person, sort of hit it. It was the primetime game. This one had more eyes on the game. And there was a lot more at stake in that game, and Jackson doesn't even come back into that game if McSorley.
Yeah, McSorley,
if he doesn't get hurt, then Jackson doesn't even come back into the game and become the hero, and probably Drew Lock does win that. So
it's all a valid argument.
But it's a fun little argument, but it doesn't make a big difference on the season or anything. So all right, offensive line, unsung heroes on Sunday, especially with the makeshift line. So why don't you give us a breakdown of what the pieces were on the line, and what do you do if you're Mike Munchak going forward? What's your lineup look like?
Oh, this is tough because once I get to the right guard spot, it's gonna be difficult for me. So of course, just to review who started last week, we had Calvin Anderson at left tackle, Dalton Risner left guard, Lloyd Cushenberry in center, Netane Muti in as the right guard, and then we had Elijah Wilkinson playing right tackle. That's who our makeshift line was last week. So we had 3 starters missing. Garrett Bowles was out with the illness at left tackle. Then Graham Glasgow's battling an injury. He's kind of been battling injuries all year at right guard. And then DeMar Dotson did not get. I can't remember. Was he a last-minute injury, or did he just start Wilkinson over? I can't remember.
I think they just started him over. So
yeah, Wilkinson's he's in, and they're giving him another audition now that he's healthy. They want to see if he's going to be worth bringing back next year at that, because I mean he's going to be relatively cheap, and he's only like 26 years old.
right.
So this is his audition. So they played fantastic. Moody and Reisner and Cushenberry played fantastic. There was that one the one mishandled snap or whatever, but Cush is still a rookie. Drew Locks, they're still working on their chemistry. That's probably the second most important chemistry for a quarterback is primary receiver, then your center. Some people would argue center is probably the number one chemistry relationship you got to build. But we know Garrett Bowles will slide back into left tackle. Calvin Anderson gave Garrett Bowles a huge props as a leader. He said, I wouldn't have been ready to go 3 hours if Garrett Bowles hadn't been pushing me harder every day, or something like that in a tweet.
Yeah, and I did see that tweet. And yeah, that is huge props to Garrett Bowles. And we've had that discussion within the Rocky Mountain Sports Report staff is Garrett Bowles really one of the true leaders on this team? And that's just another thing that speaks volumes of it, that he is coming on as a leader of the team.
Yeah. So he's just been phenomenal all year. He stepped up, like you said, he's stepped up as a leader, stepped up as a tackle. He's just played fantastic. We've seen him improve his mental toughness as well as some of his techniques. So, give him props where it's due. So we switch over let's go to right tackle, then we'll go to right guard. So I just mentioned, Elijah Wilkinson, he this is his audition. This is his thing to say, like, hey, are you worth that $3 to $4 million? We're probably going to bring you out a year next season. Or do we need to look somewhere else? Are you going to be that? Can we count on you while we bring somebody up to the farm, or can you be that? Maybe he could be that guy. We've seen Garrett Bowles develop a little bit later with Munchak. So there's a lot of questions that they need answered. That's why they're putting him in right now with these last couple games. DeMar Dotson, we know what he's capable of. He's been in the league for it feels like 100 years by now. So that's kind of why we're going to see him. I expect them to roll with Elijah the rest of the season, unless there's another injury.
And I agree. I think Elijah won. Dotson's getting older. We don't know what's going to happen with James next year, so we really need to find out if Elijah's worth keeping around. So on to right guard, the one that you say is the most difficult to figure out now.
This one's a hard one for me. But one other thing that I kind of want to point out on right tackle, I just kind of hit me. So Calvin Anderson and Elijah Wilkinson could be battling out for that last swing tackle spot.
Oh, I agree.
So, we could see Calvin Anderson sneak in if Elijah starts struggling. I wouldn't say that's not impossible, but that could be why we've seen Elijah. I don't know. We're just gonna have to see where it goes, because right tackle's been the biggest hole we've had on our offensive line for several years now, since Menelik Watson, since we decided to make that horrible signing. We just haven't been able to figure it out since then.
Right.
So now on to right guard. This is where it gets hard for me, because you got Graham Glasgow, who's a vet. He was solid for Detroit. He's been pretty solid for us. We just signed him to like a massive contract. Then we drafted Nite Moody in the 5th round. So if he had not had his significant foot injury back at Utah, where he had to miss so much time, there was actually rumblings that he could be a late 1st or early 2nd round pick. He was just that fantastic through college. He was consistent. Mauler. He's the perfect definition of a hog molly. He's just quick, fast, got nice feet, strong hands. His lateral quickness is phenomenal for someone his size. We've seen him come in and completely outplay Graham Glasgow in one game. So now the reason why this becomes difficult is you're stuck with Graham. Where you are. He's contract based off of how we signed it and how we structured it. He doesn't become expendable until after the 2022 season. Like, he just doesn't. The dead cap hit next season is like $16 or $17 million, and you still have to pay him an additional $5 because you owe him money because of guarantees and all that fun stuff. So
let me ask you a question then. is he tradable, or is his contract too
It's
prohibitive for that to happen?
if we had more cap room available, like let's say that AJ Bouye it sounds like he's becoming more expendable with the suspension next season, things like that. That frees
Right.
up roughly 12 and a half. That kind of helps it a little bit. It almost nullifies it. You still end up losing about 4 or 5 million, I think,
Right.
based off the cap numbers for next season. Um, it just, I don't think so. I mean, unless you're getting a significant compensation, but I mean, let's be real. I don't think a right guard's going to really command more than a mid-round pick, and I don't think it's worth taking it on the chin. So really, it's either you have to let Nitain continue to develop and hope that sitting him doesn't hurt his progression and him getting better because he's not getting that playing time, or you just have a really expensive backup, and it was another blunder signing by this management.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to consider it a blunder though, because free agencies before the draft, you didn't know Moody was going to fall to you in the what is it, the 5th or 6th round.
Right. And you still want depth on your team too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a tough situation. And of course, yeah, they probably are forced to play him because you don't want to pay somebody that kind of money and have him just sitting around on the bench. So, and unless Denver really thinks that Moody's that much better, then maybe you do try to shop him around this offseason, and maybe you package him as some with Von Miller and try to move up in the first round or second round if you want to. So, who knows?
Yeah, all I like I said, all I know is we didn't see Moody get bullied back. Sorry, excuse me. We didn't see Moody get bullied back. We seen him have great, prior to last week when Graham was in, we weren't running the pull plays to the left side. Graham doesn't have the quickness to get over there. So all of our pull plays were to the right. So we seen Reisner pulling, we seen Bowles pulling. So when with Moody in there, we seen us actually be able to pull to the left, and that's our strong side. With Garrett and Reisner and Moody setting that edge, man, it could be dangerous. It could open up tons of holes for or it could completely set the edge for Melvin Gordon to get out, or even Philip Lindsay. I know Philip typically stays in between the tackles, but it opens up. Screenplays become more plausible as well.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on. We have this position group that is a revolving door.
It's on fire right now. It's just burning to the ground right now.
It definitely is. So we've recently signed 2 new people. We got Parnell Motley that we picked up off the 49ers practice squad. And then we have
Nate Hairston.
Yeah, Nate Hairston that we picked up off of came off the Colts or Ravens practice
squad.
Yeah,
yes.
So we're gonna show this video really quick, and then we'll discuss those two and what their plans could be for Denver. All right, so that's our 2 new signings. Parnell will not be available this week, correct, Matt? Because of COVID protocol.
Yeah, he will not be available this week. He'll have to hold out till the following week.
Okay. So Nate Hairston, where do you see us using him? We don't have a true slot guy on the team. Do you think Hairston can fill in a slot role, or is he more of an outside corner and more of a man or a zone type corner?
I mean, we have very limited footage on both of them. As you've seen, both of their highlights were mostly college, or I think both of them were all college, actually.
Right.
Hairston has been around since 2017. Got drafted in the 5th round by Indianapolis out of Temple. So cool background story for him. He actually started off as a wide receiver. He did his first 2 years as a wide receiver at Temple, then switched to corner his last 2.
Okay.
So by now he should have the position down, but this position's fairly new to him. We've seen from the limited footage I've seen, he struggles in coverage with faster receivers, which makes it a little more difficult for him to be in the slot. He has pretty good footwork, though. I'll give him that, because he has that receiver route running skills, so those quick feet, so that helps him. But he's like what I consider a mid-sized corner. Typically, your slots are 6 foot and under, and typically your outside guys are about 6'1" to 6'2" usually.
Right.
It's typically, that's like the ideal size ranges. I mean, it ranges everywhere. Everyone has different preferences, but he's sitting right under. He's sitting like 5'11" and I don't know 6'10", so round up 6 foot. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So he could naturally play in either spot. I think we're going to test him in the slot, because we've seen we put Will Parks down there against Carolina, and that just wasn't working. That's why you've seen that soft zone where pretty much we backed off of man coverage in the entire second half after Tolliver and Dawson were done.
Right.
So I think they're going to put him there and see what happens. Ojemudia is too long, too lanky. He would not be a good fit in there. Bosby could slide inside, but also he's kind of more of a lanky guy. Usually those slots are just kind of short, stout, have quick feet, good hips.
Yeah, and I think you want Ojemudia and Bosby as your outside corners. I mean, we're going to have to figure out this slot. I'm excited for when Motley is available, because I watched some of his film, and this guy, even though he's smaller, I mean, he's tall, he's 6 foot, but he's thin. 185, and I don't know if he's put on some weight since his Oklahoma days, which I'm sure he has. He's probably added some muscle and put on some weight, but he's not afraid of contact. He does not shy away from contact. I mean, I've seen him, and when I was watching some of his film, I noticed that he can line up both outside and he's lined up in the slot as well, and he was fairly effective in the slot. So
yeah, he's got a lot of raw potential. So he was undrafted this year. So he's brand new to the NFL game.
Right.
I'm excited to see where he goes. We have a really good history with drafting, finding these undrafted corners. Chris Harris Jr., Isang Bassi, he struggled in the beginning. I'm really bummed that he tore his ACL. I actually thought he was going to transition more to like a Kareem Jackson role with us when we first picked him up in the after the draft. But after seeing him in the slot, I think he could be solid there for some time. So let's just hope he heals up this offseason, and we can bring him back. But back to what you said about Motley, same thing. He kind of has that raw potential that we've seen with Bassi. It's just about learning the fundamentals of the game is going to be the big thing for him. He's going to have to learn to stay calm, keep his his hip square at the line, and then do his best to keep up with the footwork, especially with guys like Stephon Diggs. So whomever is going to have that challenge this week, because that's where Stephon loves to line up, is in the slot. So Hairston, buddy, if you're out there, this is your time to shine. Yeah. So Hairston, he was a starter for Indianapolis. They actually started him for a few games. I think for 11 games he was a starter, and then 6 for the Jets, and then it was 6 starts for the Jets. But the Jets run anybody, so maybe Baltimore saved him a little bit. We'll have to just see when he gets out there.
Yeah, we definitely will see. Motley, I think, has faced stiffer competition in college. I think in the long run, and we also need to think that some of these guys that we're bringing on, they're just not Band-Aids for this year, because some of these guys that have injured themselves later in the season, Duke Dawson, Tolliver, and their ACLs, I mean, these guys aren't going to be available right away. So we're going to be looking to add some cornerback depth onto our roster, which you and I have talked in. We both are in agreement. I think that should be where our first round pick goes. Is to the secondary. So because that's going to be our biggest need, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree. We definitely need to find our long-term shutdown corner. Michael Ojimudi has shown flashes that he could be that, but you still got the other side you got to lock down. Um, yeah, so this week will be interesting, just see how we play out. But you mentioned Duke Dawson and Isaiah Tolliver. Um, neither one of them are guaranteed to be here.
No, they're not. They're not. So, all right, I want to throw this up here, and then we'll talk about this. So, Justin Simmons released a statement today that said, and it said it would mean everything to me. I've built many relationships in the community. It's a no-brainer for me. I love this place. I love my teammates. And that's in regards to him staying here in Denver. So, and I don't doubt Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons, I mean, he's Man of the Year award for the Denver Broncos. He's the 3-time recipient of the Darren Williams Good Guy Award.
First one ever.
Right. And so he does love the community here. He's active in the community. So in your opinion, is this really Justin Simmons saying, yeah, I really want to be here? Or is this him now playing the game and posturing and putting the pressure on the Broncos to get a deal done?
I think it's both. I do think I think it can be both. You hit the what, I lost my train of thought. You hit it right on the nail there. So he's been active in the community since he's been here. He started the Justin Simmons Foundation. He's been involved with like Children's Hospital. He's been around with the Black Lives Matter Colorado movement. He's been kind of everywhere that you could think of. Any major community setting, he's probably been the most active out of most of the Broncos. He's just an overall good guy. Like, he's got a good heart. You see it. He's genuine. He's also really big on family. So he's got, I can't remember if he has 1 or 2 kids now, but that was one of the things he said when he first came here, is like, once he gets somewhere and he establishes himself, that's where he wanted to be, because he didn't want to move his kids around. He didn't want to put all that hassle on them. So I do think he genuinely wants to stay here, and I think he does want to put that pressure on the Broncos. I am a good guy. I'm killing it in the community. I'm killing it on the football field. I've been number 2 on Pro Football Focus for 2 or 3 seasons now.
Right.
He started off slow, but he's killing it. I mean, he was a 3rd-round pick, and no one expected him to be this good, but he's been fantastic. He's a great center field type safety. He doesn't lay hits like we used to see. He's not your hard-hitting safety, but he's a smart physical safety who makes plays when it matters.
Yeah, he definitely does, and he provides exceptional, over the top help and stuff. And he is a ball. He can go after the ball and get it. So Justin Simmons last year wanted number 1 safety money. I mean, this guy's he wants Jamal Adams type money. And the Broncos wanted to pay him right around number 6. So a big disconnect there. I mean,
split the difference, meet at 3.
Yeah. And hopefully they can. Maybe the Broncos tag him again. I know that's going to be expensive. So why not just give him the money? If you're going to throw another tag on him, it's going to be more expensive. So why don't you just sign the guy to a long-term deal, and maybe you get a little better team-friendly deal.
Yeah, and knowing Justin Simmons, he may be willing to do like a backloaded contract because of everything with COVID. He's been around and seen how bad things have been. Got a kid who wants to give me a hug real quick. So back to what I was saying. Yeah, so he sees how bad COVID's affected the area. He knows that it's a big issue. It's infecting the NFL on a daily basis. It's going to affect the cap next season. That number's still being determined. But so he may be willing to take that backloaded contract, take incentives up front, take a little bit of guaranteed money up front, and have the rest signed out through bonuses throughout the rest of the contract. So, I mean, it's just about coming together to make sure that both teams wins. And I think Justin's the type of guy that would do that if he doesn't feel disrespected.
Yeah. So people out there watching, what are your thoughts? Do you want to see Justin Simmons back here next year? Do you sacrifice Von for Justin? Things, and these are a lot of questions that Denver has to answer in the offseason. We've talked about Kareem Jackson. I mean, he may be another casualty, especially if his play continues to be erratic like it has the last couple of weeks. So I don't know what's going on with K-Jax, but his last couple of weeks have been a little erratic. So hopefully he cleans that up. Let's switch gears now off the Broncos, and let's talk about the Nuggets a little bit. So getting ready to start regular season. Regular season starts next week. We open up with the Sacramento Kings will be our opening game. I believe it's on the 23rd. And then our second game will be on Christmas Day against the Los Angeles Clippers. So that'll be a good one. And I heard Denver is wearing those new red Skyline jerseys for the Christmas Day game. So that'll be pretty neat. But so we're taking on Portland. We're playing them tonight, and then we're playing them Friday night for the preseason. We got a rivalry building here, don't we, between these two cities?
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. It feels like there's always some kind of bad blood between the two of us. I mean, Dame Lillard's, a beast. They got CJ McCollum. They're very high personality guys, and you turn around and focus on us. We got Jamal Murray, who's got enough energy for the whole Denver Nuggets team.
Right.
So, yeah, but you also got big personalities: Will Barton, Gary Harris. So it's just like a personalities clash, and it just never between Portland and Utah. It seems like there's always bad blood left with Denver. There's always major implications of every game, it seems like. So, yeah, definitely a rivalry brewing.
Yeah, and I feel it. And it's like every time they meet, you can just feel it. But actually, they just tipped off about 5 minutes ago. So if you live somewhere that you can get it, because most people in Denver can't get the Altitude Network. So hopefully you can find that game somewhere. I don't know if it's being shown on TNT or the NBA Network or anything. But Michael Porter Jr., the guy is just has so much potential. What are your thoughts on him? Is this guy, what does he need to do to be successful on this team, to fit into the team and not disrupt a chemistry that has been built between Murray and Jokic and others?
Well, let's start off with let's look at the Nuggets as a whole. The biggest thing to fitting in with the Nuggets is playing team basketball. Nobody wants to be the star here. We don't have that mentality. So yeah, we just play really good team basketball. That's Malone's foundation. That's how he is. So Michael Porter Jr. can't come in here expecting to be the star. You in Malone's eyes, they're all stars. Every single person on this team deserves to be where they're at. They work hard. They got good ethics. They play good basketball. They struggle defensively. That's been our biggest flaw over the last couple seasons. So for Michael Porter Jr., you got to come here with the right mindset. I'm a team player. This isn't James Harden. I'm Michael Porter Jr. I'm part of the Denver Nuggets. Not the Denver Nuggets are a part of Michael Porter Jr.
Right.
That makes sense. So that's let's start off. That's culture for Michael Porter Jr. himself. The biggest thing is he has to stay consistent, stay calm, and play better defense. That's his 3 keys to becoming a better player. We've seen him have these moments where he's like hitting buckets after buckets, 3 after 3. And then there's games where he couldn't hit, the side of a wall on a 10-story building. He just has to find that rhythm and consistency for him. And then we've seen him play atrocious defense, especially throughout the playoffs. That was the biggest reason why Malone said he wasn't starting him. He just was struggling defensively. So he's got to rein that in.
Yeah, and that is one place where he does need to improve his game is on the defensive end of the court, because there were times where he just looked completely lost on defense, missing assignments, missing switches, and giving up easy baskets. And you can't do that, especially when you get into the playoffs. You can't have those mental lapses. And
yeah, that's where Utah and Portland will eat you alive.
Right. And there's been so many fans that are just screaming that we want Michael Porter Jr., but I think Malone is doing the right thing and bringing him along slowly. And I think he is also teaching him that, you're going to do it the Nugget way. You're not going to do it Michael Porter Jr. way. You'll fit into this team. And if you want to go out there and act like you're a superstar, then guess what? I'll put you right back on the bench, because I got plenty of guys who want to go out there and play team basketball.
Yeah. we kind of seen that happen with Gary Harris when Malone first came. Gary Harris wanted to be that star because he was coming off those hot seasons. He was really doing well offensively. I mean, he's been a great defender in that guard spot his entire career. But we kind of seen him take a back burner. The longer Malone's been here, we've seen Gary kind of get less and less of a role with the team because he came in with that I'm a star mentality, and it's bitten him in the behind in a sense. So, Michael Porter, that it's just about perspective. You just said it. Just perspective about being a team player.
Yeah. So, and hopefully he grows up and he gets that. And I think he started getting it a little bit more towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I hope so.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say is potential doesn't mean that that's not a guaranteed success.
It definitely is not. Potential means absolutely nothing when you make it to the big leagues, because guess what? Everybody there has potential and everybody's good. So
that's right.
You got to work on your game. And so let's bring on another guy that whole bunch of potential. Bol Bol. What do you see his role being with the Nuggets this year?
Just due to the lack of depth at center, we're going to have to see him more. He's a great offensive center. He can shoot threes. He kind of can shoot from all over the place. But back to the same thing of what we're seeing when the struggles with Michael Porter Jr. is defensively. Mm-hmm. He's not a great defender. He's not a rim protector. He's not an aggressive rebounder. He's got the size to, but he's got the height to. He doesn't got the size. The dude is a 7-foot toothpick.
Yeah. What's he weigh? Like 205 pounds at 7'2". So
if he's 7'2" and 205, I mean, I'm right under him, man. I'm getting 2 round, I guess.
So, yeah. So hopefully, we got one of these Zeke that came out of Arizona. Hopefully,
Zeke Nnaji,
yeah, Zeke Nnaji. Hopefully, he comes on out of Arizona and he can be one of those rim protectors that we're going to need. JaMychal Green.
We can see him play some center.
Who's sort of bothers me is I thought there would be more of a defensive presence was Millsap. And I'm just sort of surprised that Denver brought him back for another season. So
I think it's because we lost Jeremy Grant. I think that's one reason why he's here.
Yeah, I think if Grant resigns here, then Millsap.
Millsap's not here. So. Millsap's at the point of his, he's on the way back end of his career. Maybe this season might be his last, and maybe gets one more after that. Right. I mean, I think he's coming here just for that leadership role. Because, I mean, if you look at the Nuggets outside of Millsap, the team is extremely young. Yeah, very, very young.
It is a young team, man. Nothing wrong with that. So I think the Nuggets have a very bright future ahead of them. And we'll see where things go. I think they definitely can be a force to be reckoned with this season, and maybe even challenge the Lakers for the Western Conference championship. So we'll see. So 7:15, we said we were going to do sort of an open topic, so we didn't get any recommendations. And I'm just going to put this out there, and I think Matt sort of agrees with me. Because we've talked about this before. If anybody out there, wants to give this a shot, I think maybe we'll start doing this, Matt, or the last 15 minutes of every War Room Wednesday is we're going to bring one of our viewers on. So if you're interested in doing this, reach out to Matt or myself, private message on Facebook. Let us know. We'll talk. Who knows? You may find that you like this and may want to start doing this yourself, but I think it'd be a fun way just for the viewers to also, see,
get interaction.
What it's like, get interaction. So,
yeah. And I mean, the cool thing about us as well is, we're still growing. So if you come on and you like it, there's always the potential that you guys could potentially grow with us, come on to the team. There's lots of, background stuff to that, but you come in, you might enjoy it and you might want to continue to pursue it. And we just might be the right fit for you. We're always looking to grow. We're always looking for new talent. So,
Yeah, definitely. So if you are interested, just shoot myself or Matt a message and let us know. So, all right, Matt. So we got some content, that's going to be rolling out here shortly. You want to sort of break down what we're going to be doing with the Broncos going forward, because we know the season's coming to an end. 3 more weeks. I don't think we're making the playoffs, because I was looking at the playoff scenario today, and it's
I forgot the percentage, but I think it's like right around 2%, right?
right. It's us winning out. The Ravens would have to lose
2 out of 3.
They would have to lose all 3.
Oh,
No,
wait, no, 2.
yeah, and they play the Bengals. So,
Come on, Kyle. Come on, bring one home for the Broncos.
And there's another team that has to lose quite a bit, and there's like 4 teams that have to do some losing ahead of us. So it's not going to happen. So Matt and I have been discussing how we're going to pass our time along during the off season. So Matt's going to let you know what we have coming up.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we're gonna start to work on. We're gonna start doing our draft prospect breakdowns. My German Shepherd wants to come and say hi. So if it's not the kids, it's the dog. So yeah, we're gonna start our draft prospect breakdown. We'll go over all positions. We're gonna highlight and spend a little bit more time on ones that the Broncos need. So cornerbacks, secondary, offensive line, middle line. We'll just kind of highlight them as we go along. I could say the whole team. Every position is always a position of need, in my opinion. So we're going to start our draft prospect breakdowns. We're going to get into mock drafts in about 2 weeks, right, Dave? Isn't that what we said? Yes. 2 weeks. So Dave and I
version 1.0 of David Slayton and Matt Staffiero's mock drafts will be coming out on December 30th on War Room Wednesday. So make sure you check in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I believe we're going to be trying to modify those weekly. That doesn't always mean that there's going to be a change, but we'll try to keep pushing that content out on Wednesdays. As we get closer to the draft, you'll start to see more positions and picks get solidified. So we'll try to keep it interesting and provide some great breakdown on those mock drafts. Another cool thing that we're going to be doing for the NFL is we're going to focus on the NFL as kind of a whole. So about a little over half the league right now is in a position to where they have to start to determine what's their next step with quarterback. So we're going to take it down division by division and start breaking down the quarterback position for each team. We'll focus on one division on a Wednesday. So we'll break this down to about 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
We'll break it down over 8 weeks. We haven't decided which division we're going to start with, but we'll each take 2 teams in that division, kind of do a little background research and kind of figure out where we think the best ideas for them or the best potential replacements, or is it the right idea to stick with who they got. So there's a couple different things there, just a fun and interactive piece. So if you guys have any background knowledge, or if there's a quarterback situation you guys would want to provide some insight on, feel free to reach out to one of us at any time.
Yep, definitely. So we have a lot coming out over the off season. We got Nuggets content that's going to start rolling out. We have Avalanche that everyone make sure on Tuesdays, Scott Cole drops his Avalanche podcast. So head over to Anchor and search for Rocky Mountain Sports Report Colorado Avalanche, and you'll be able to find that and get signed up. It's on there. It's on Spotify. It's on a bunch of different other platforms. So get signed up so you can start hearing his In the Crease talk. He did have a short 20-minute, about 20, 25 minutes last week, just sort of going over what may happen when the league decides to play, but it looks like hockey may be starting soon. So lot of good stuff's happening. We got spring training going to start up in probably February when pitchers and catchers report. So we got a lot going on, and
yeah, we could dive into that real quick. There was some Rockies news today. There's some rumors, and baseball is full of rumors these days.
Right.
But there's rumors that the Rockies are shopping Nolan Arenado to the New York Mets. I don't. There's been no real framework to what that trade may look like. It was on MLB.com earlier today. I can't remember the reporter who cited it, but Rockies, it does seem like they're actively pursuing a way to move Arenado on to another team. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think the Rockies are looking at themselves that they're kind of in that middle of the pack as far as the Western division. So they're sitting outside the playoffs. I think again this year they're ranked like 3rd or 4th in projections right now for the season. So
Yeah, I think
I don't like it, but Arenado deserves to play for a championship team if that's what he wants.
he definitely does. I think the Rockies got into a bad contract situation with it and Arenado. We just don't have that kind of cash flow on this organization to be signing contracts like that, because then you suffer everywhere else. So and
Yeah, small market teams like the Rockies tend to
yeah,
struggle to keep their all stars. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how we move forward. If we can, hopefully we find a way to grow or expand our market so we can keep some of these guys, because we get them as farm prospects. We put all the hard work in, and then we're just pumping them out to one of these large market teams. It seems like that just seems
yeah.
to be the routine.
Yeah, it definitely does. It seems like we might be a farm team to the Yankees or someone like that.
We
So,
just seen it happen with DJ Mayhew
yep,
over
yep,
there in New York. He's a free agent this year, though. But
yeah,
he came in, he several Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger stuff, continued over there with the Yankees. So it does feel like we kind of are like a farm team to these large market teams
right, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Unfortunately, and I mean, if Nolan does go, it's another one. It's sort of like the Vaughn situation. It'll be sad to see him go. That would have been like letting Todd Hilton go.
Yeah.
So I mean, has been a great player for this organization, but I understand his desire to play for a championship, and unfortunately, with the way things are happening down at Coors Field, we're not going to be playing for a championship around here for a while. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else you got, Matt? You want to bring up?
Oh, it wouldn't be a War Room Wednesday if we didn't talk about our favorite guy.
Drew?
So I think it has to be a sacred grace of War Room Wednesday for Rocky Mountain Sports Report that we talk
It,
about Drew
it,
Lock.
is this more lock flogging?
You know what? No, I'm actually. I want to. I want to pose a question to you for one. Typically you're the one who's asked the question. I'm gonna kind of put this on you. I'm
Okay.
gonna come up with the surprise.
Okay.
So in your right now, with everything you say, has Drew Lock done enough to secure? Does he deserve the other next season? And if he doesn't yet, what do you need to see for him to be able to put these quarterback rumors to rest? What do
Uh,
we need to do to just erase the Matthew Staffords and the Zach Wilson talk? What does he need to do?
Okay, so in my opinion, he does deserve another shot next year, and I've given my argument with COVID and everything else, and no OTAs and all that. But to really solidify it in everybody's mind, he has to go out. This Saturday is a huge test. He's playing probably one of the best defenses he's going to face all year, in this Buffalo Bills defense. And if he goes out there and he plays like he did against Carolina, then guess what? Yeah, he definitely deserves that chance. I want to see Locke continue to grow. If Locke goes out there and throws, one or two picks against this Buffalo defense, but other areas of his game are still looking good. He's hitting his deep throws. He's going through his progressions, and making the right decisions. I think that helps too. I'm not saying Denver has to go out here and beat the Buffalo Bills for Locke to have a lock up the starting job for next year. But he needs to go out there and he needs to show that he's continuously improving. He played fairly well against Kansas City, with the exception of a couple bad throws he would like back. He played outstanding against Carolina, and everybody can say, well, that's Carolina, and I don't care. People can say that all they want. Guess what? This is the NFL. Everybody's good in the NFL, So, but go out, do it against Buffalo, do it against the Chargers, and then do it against the Raiders, And if you can do that, then in my opinion, you lock up this job for next year. But I still think the Broncos bring somebody in to compete with him, and with the understanding that Drew Lock is the starting quarterback, but he would be on a short leash. And I'm going to pose this to you because I heard this as an interesting thing. How about a Tyrod Taylor in here as his backup?
I wouldn't go for it. just
Doesn't
not.
fit the system, or
It, he just doesn't have a similar style to Drew,
okay,
and a similar style to this offense. I mean, he's a great mentor, total leadership type of guy, great personality, doesn't mind taking the back seat. It just he tends to have the same struggles as Drew does, poor kind of below average mechanics,
right. So
relies on the run.
who
Um,
who would you bring in? And I'm not talking like some huge veteran either that's going to supplant him as the starter. But I'm saying if Denver goes with him as the starter next year, who would you bring in that if need be locks on a short leash, you pull him and this guy could step in and be productive?
mm, that's hard because I think you roll with 3 quarterbacks due to COVID, anyways. I think Rippon should stay his backup because I think Rippon's a great mentor for him, even though that he's very young. Rippon's a very smart quarterback.
He is.
But I think if we go with the intentions of saying we're going to stay with the 3 quarterback on the roster due to injury, COVID, whatever it's going to be next season, I say go get Luke McCown. The dude's going to cost you next to nothing. He's a great. He's a knowledge guy. He knows the game of football. He has, he's came in. He actually did really well for Philadelphia last season when Winston went down. What seems to be a every year occasion.
Yeah.
So he came in, he stepped in, he did fine. He's going to cost you next to nothing. But if you roll with the 3 quarterbacks, and he doesn't even have to be here, he's been coaching Jalen Hurts through Zoom, doing VR stuff with him just to get him ready, help him with reads, and that's where Drew's struggling with these reads. We've seen how much Brett Rippon's influence helped him this year, pounding that check down into him.
And that's another reason I sort of want to give Drew Lock more time. Is Joe Flacco did Drew Lock 0 favors.
Yeah, he's not a leader.
No, Joe Flacco, in my opinion, should have been training Drew, and teaching him. But he came in here for his own selfish reasons, and that was it. He didn't come in with the intention of I'm gonna help this guy out, and he's gonna take my job from me. So
I'm actually gonna switch it up on you of how Drew Lock can solidify his spot next year, and okay. I think if this happens, there's not going to be any questions that he's the starter. Even though I don't know how I feel about it personally, it's going to be on Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur controls Drew Lock's future right now.
Oh, I agree. He does.
If Pat Shurmur's not here next season, Drew Lock's not the starting quarterback. It's that simple. We've seen it. We have to see that this modified version of the playbook that we've seen starting this last week with Carolina, that we've seen Drew be comfortable in it. Can he stay comfortable in it, and can Shurmur continue to grow off of it? Because I don't think Drew can be successful in any other system other than in this shotgun, running these bootlegs, giving him more time to feel comfortable. He still is showing very terrible mechanics, especially footwork, even in this system. But this system, it works so effective. It was so effective that it allowed Locke to not necessarily ignore his flaws, but play into them. We hit these checkdowns, these easy throws so often, it played a major implication on defenses. When we started to do that, it opened the window. It made the windows, instead of it being a tight window that you have to hit on a line, it opened it up to, a bay window in a sense for him. It's taking the pressure off of him. So if Pat Shurmur can't successfully run this offense, I don't think Drew can be successful in a different scheme. I just don't think he can. I mean, maybe a similar one if we brought in, a fancy college coordinator, but that's not Elway's style. He's not going to switch up the whole West Coast thing for this one season just for the hell of it. He's going to stay committed to the West Coast. But Pat Shurmur found a way to modify the West Coast to play into Drew's strength. Let's see if it works.
Well, look what happened to the last guy that went messing around with the offense.
That's why I'm worried. That's why I not guaranteeing Drew Lock's going to be your starting quarterback next year.
So, and we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. But I think if he goes out and he has a good game, these last 3 games, if he plays decent, then yeah. But like you said, if Shurmur's not here, then yeah, the only way I could see it is if they maybe promote Mike Shula into that position. And I don't know if Mike Shula is ready for it. So
yeah, I'm not sure, but and I don't think he has to be playing. I don't think he has to put up 4 touchdowns. I think I think it's more on the growth. in him showing that he stays comfortable in this office. It still builds. He continues to build that fluidity we talked about on Sunday. He
And
has terrible mechanics. Terrible. I can't. It makes me nauseous how bad they are.
I,
But
I hope my friend's not seeing this. Boy, he's going to be down on the corner of Colfax and Petrol selling the Lock Flogger shirts.
I'm sure I'm gonna end it on a good note.
All
Drew
right.
Lock, you played what you wore your heart on your sleeve. You showed that you've made growth. You were still cocky. That's fine, but you showed that your mentality's gotten a little bit better. You listened to your peers. You listened to your coach. You committed to the game plan. You didn't go off base. We'll give you the kudos for it. Continue to grow on it. I have nothing but the hope for you. I doubt you. I'm one of your biggest doubters, but if you can show me that for consecutive weeks, I'll believe in you.
All right. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Matt. It's been fun spending the last hour with you. So remember, everybody, Saturday, the Broncos play. So we will have our pregame show Saturday morning at 10, or we could do it Sunday at 10, and I bet you we all get our predictions right.
Let's do it. I'm just kidding.
And then we will have our pregame at 10. The game is at 2:30, correct?
Yes.
So we'll have our halftime show, and then we'll have our post game show an hour after the game, or maybe sooner. So we'll let everybody know, though. But we appreciate you dropping by tonight. Like I said, if anybody wants to, take a shot at this and spend 15 minutes on the air with David and Matt, shoot one of us a message. Let us know if you're interested in, maybe joining up with Rocky Mountain Sports Report. We're always looking for content writers. We're looking for podcast personalities. We're looking, what I would really love, Matt? I think this would be awesome is to get, I would love to have two females and have a female Bronco podcast or live stream, because you don't see a lot of it. And I think that the females are underrepresented when it comes to, things like that. So, yeah, I think it'd be awesome. So anybody who's interested, drop Matt a line, drop me a line, and we can talk and we can go from there. But everybody have a good rest of your week. We will talk to you Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It'll be me, Matt, and Alex with the pregame.
That's right. And one last thing real quick. You guys, we also have an application that's sitting on our Rocky Mountain Sports Reports page, not the group. So if you are interested in applying and kind of getting to know a little bit more about the position, check out the page. The app's right there.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks. Bye, guys.